What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, are Callum Wiggins.
Hello.
And Robert DeFelice.
Hello.
We just got done recording the NXT TakeOver War Games 2018 talk, and now we're going to we're going to get into Survivor Series 2018. So if you are interested in hearing us rave about something that's really great, listen to the TakeOver one. If you're listening for the rants, that is what we're going to be doing when it comes to Survivor Series, because this has been a madhouse, and admittedly, we're not going to be crapping on everything. Some of this card looks really good, and some of it could be very, very promising. But there are going to be a couple of times in here where I'm going to have to go off on how I've been so overworked, and it's just crazy to lightheadedness and different things going on. WWE should not be trying to make people pissed. WWE should not be trying to make people so haphazardly impossible to keep track of things that they have damn near an aneurysm or something, I guess. I don't know. Some of this isn't their fault, and we will get into the Becky Lynch stuff. We're going to save that a little bit. We're going to start with, basically start from the bottom and work our way to the top, kind of. And even though this is not the pre-show, it's pretty clear that this is the second fillerish type of match that they have on there, which is the Cruiserweight Championship match. It could be one of the best matches of the night, because it's Buddy Murphy defending the title against Mustafa Ali. But WWE does not care about the Cruiserweight division. Most fans don't care about 205 Live. We just have to accept that. I will still praise it, because these two have been kicking serious ass. Both of them have been two of the best in-ring performers of this year, as far as I'm concerned. They've had great matches together. I'm really hoping that it's on the main card and more people get to see it. And I'm excited to watch it. I expect Buddy Murphy to retain the title. And even if he doesn't, I'm cool with Mustafa Ali winning the title too. This is a no-lose situation as far as I'm concerned. Win-win.
I don't want to see Buddy Murphy lose the belt, because he just got the belt and he deserves to have a slight run with it before they go with Mustafa Ali, because they've had plenty of chances to give it to Mustafa Ali before. And I also hope it's on the main card, because people deserve to watch these matches. 205 Live has been consistently producing some of the better in-ring matches in WWE this year, and nobody's watching it because it's 205 Live and there's just so much burnout. So I do hope we get this on the main roster, and I do hope Buddy Murphy retains.
This should be one of the best matches of the show, because these two just put on good match for each other on the regular. If they really have their working shoes on, then I don't see why it can't be the best match of the night. Buddy Murphy's only been champion for a short time, but I kind of feel this is an opportunity to right a wrong from way back at WrestleMania, where they should have put the title on Mustafa Ali to start with. We could have avoided a lot of the tedium of Cedric Alexander and, well, just anything involving that. I'd like to see. I would prefer Ali to win this one, just because I think he's a really positive role model and would get a lot of eyes on NXT. Well, a lot more eyes on NXT, I'd hope, just due to his natural charisma. But like you guys say, there's no real winner in this match that I'm desperately rooting for, because both these two are awesome and they deserve to have an awesome match on the main show. Whether they do or not is yet to be determined, but I hope they do get to be a nice filler match in between some of the other Raw vs. SmackDown things that are going on.
Yeah, especially because they're going to need people to fill that kind of spot. There's 3 elimination matches on this card, and even though there are non-elimination matches, and the champion versus champion type stuff can be a difference maker when it comes to just doing something a little bit different, it's still not quite the same as a quote-unquote bathroom break. And I hate to classify them as a bathroom break, because they're much better than that. But they are still the low totem pole type. And when you look at like 205 Live being one of the best things that's going, it still doesn't have a whole lot of viewers, so people are going to use that as their bathroom break more than anything. And that's okay if that's the case for the people that are in the arena at the time. If you're not in the arena and you are watching at home, pay attention to the match. These guys consistently do a fantastic job. And if you don't watch, they're never going to continue to push that kind of stuff, because the more that they see that people don't care about the in-ring action, the more that they write that off. It's just like, well, they only care about the storylines and stuff. So if it's on the pre-show, I understand if people don't watch, but if it's on the main card, give it a shot. You know, what's the worst that could happen? You watch 15 minutes of what should potentially be one of the best matches on the card, you know, like not something that's really the worst thing that could be complaining about. Gun to my head as far as like a prediction goes, I'm going Buddy Murphy. Anybody going Mustafa Ali?
I'm going to stick my neck out with Mustafa Ali.
I'm going Murphy.
So that might be bumped to the pre-show. It might not be. That's kind of up in the air. But we do know that at least the pre-show is going to have the tag team. How do they classify this? Because this is confusing. It's like the tag team elimination.
It's the tag team division, Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series elimination match.
Jesus Christ. So the official breakdown on the show page of WWE.com is 5-on-5 tag team traditional Survivor Series elimination match kickoff match. Although they've referred to it as a 10-on-10 match because it's 10 people on the one side and 10 people. So it's either the 10-on-10 or 5-on-5, and the tag team traditional tag team elimination tag team kickoff match kickoff. Like, it's just like, whatever it is, it's 5 tag teams against 5 tag teams. That's what it boils down to. And if you thought that WWE didn't care about tag teams beforehand, and you were kind of on the fence about like maybe you were right or wrong about that, well, they proved it this week, because man, they have not given this any kind of push whatsoever. The Raw side is that they did a battle royal, and Braun Strowman beat the shit out of every single person that's in the entire tag team division outside of AOP. Then they went and did it again, and they said, hey, they're all in there, except for you, Heath and Rhino. How bad must you feel if you're Heath Slater and Rhino, where you can't even get on the card of a match that has a dedication to tag teams like this?
Yeah.
With 5 different tag teams, you're still not good
You can't
enough.
even get in a match that's featuring Primo and Epico.
Yeah. How like just heartbreaking must that be, where they're like, you are the 6th ranked team on a 5 ranked kind of thing, and the match is on the pre-show and you're still not even good enough for that. Like, this is just oof. On SmackDown side of things, they didn't have a choice. They only had 5 tag teams to go with.
Can we just say SmackDown wins and move on? Because
I think it's worth noting that this is Wednesday at 4:30, and they have still not updated the page with the proper graphic. It still does not have anybody on SmackDown. So that goes to show that they don't even want to adjust that. They don't have the Twitter graphic for it, and they don't have the main WWE.com one.
Listen, based on the stuff that's happened in the past year, obviously the B team have been tag team champions, but they were never taken at all seriously. The only 2 legitimate teams in this entire match are the Usos and the New Day.
Yep.
And they're both on the SmackDown side.
My poor Revival, guys.
Revival. The Revival, like, if you watched NXT, then you love the Revival because the Revival were great. But they're jobbers on WWE TV, and anyone that's only watched WWE TV will only regard them as jobbers. Roode and Gable was Roode and Gable thrown together tag team, B team tag champions, but a complete joke. Lucha House Party have just turned up and they're just a bunch of 205 guys. And the Ascension are the Ascension. Like, that must be ranking among the worst Survivor Series teams in history.
It has to be up there. It's terrible. And I like a lot of those people involved. Like, I mean, when push comes to shove, I'm a fan of Chad Gable. I am a fan of Bobby Roode. They've been both in a horrible situation, and their tag team is not a good thing. I feel bad for the Ascension, because they were something in NXT, and then they became nothing on the main roster, and they haven't done anything since. The B team is kind of fun, but I would be okay with if they got released. It wouldn't be the end of the world. The Revival deserves so much better. And the Lucha House Party, like, those three guys can go in the ring. As singles people or as a tag team, they can be kind of fun. But the collective for this is terrible. At least on SmackDown, they've got the Usos and they got the New Day. They are the two most prolific tag teams that they have in the tag team division that they've been pushing for 6-7 years now, something like that. The Colognes, yeah, they'll get quickly eliminated. The Good Brothers, for some reason, WWE does not give a shit about Gallows and Anderson. They've made that abundantly clear. And SAnitY, I don't know what's up with the SAnitY. They brought them up to the main roster to do nothing. We don't even know if Nikki Cross is even a member yet. But it has to be the Usos and the New Day at the end here. Anything short of that is like, what are you doing? You know?
Now, I'm going to hold out hope for something good and at least say that this is where Roode turns on Gable. At least give me that.
And I think that there's a 100% guarantee that that's not happening because they're a babyface tag team and AOP needs people to beat up.
Yeah, I think they'll wait until after they get their title shot against...
I hate you all so much.
But...
It's realistic.
Well, realistically, SmackDown should sweep the Raw team, I believe. I think if you were going anywhere realistic, it should be a complete... I mean, even with the colons on the side, at least they're former tag champions as well in a very past life. But it's just a significantly stronger side on SmackDown, mainly just because of the Usos and the New Day. But the other teams feel more credible, even if we haven't seen any of them recently. The fact they haven't been around means they haven't been hurt as much.
SAnitY not doing anything is better than being the Ascension.
Exactly.
And doing things.
That's another acceptable ending for me. If you leave SAnitY as the sole survivors, I'll take that. Because maybe that means you're going to do something with them.
But it's going to be the...
I don't want that because there's, like, who beats the Usos and the New Day, you know? Like, I don't want the Lucha House Party to pin anybody or the Revival necessarily.
Bobby Roode incredibly do it.
Does it goes by tag teams, right? Like
one person's eliminated, if the team's out. I assume that's what.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, that's what they did last time.
Yeah, so like if Carl Anderson takes a pin, the Good Brothers are out. Okay, so that'll be a little bit easier, and they won't need to take too much time. But I'm assuming this is roughly a 30-minute match, and takes up the majority of the pre-show, if not, like an entire whole block of it, because it's a 2-hour pre-show. It starts at 5 p.m. The main card doesn't start until 7. They've got 2 hours to work with, and they don't have that much of the card to really run down on the pre-show analysis type stuff. If this goes 35, 40 minutes, good. Get the guys a little bit of time to play around and do something,
Yeah.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter. It should be a SmackDown win. And the biggest part of whether or not it matters is the point system of Raw versus SmackDown at the end. So I think we're all going SmackDown, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that means I'm going to try to keep a tally here. I should probably open up a different kind of Word document or something like that, and that would be a little bit easier. So I've got SmackDown at 1, Raw at 0. Calum's got the same. Rob's got the same. Okay. Just going to keep track of that stuff along the way, in case everybody's wondering what our tallies are at the end. Let's move on to another one of them, and let's just kind of keep the train rolling here with tag teams, because the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Authors of Pain, I am not calling them AOP, are going to go up against the Bar as the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. They have Big Show on their side, and I think it was Rob that had said it, and I fully agree. They're going to do the Drake Maverick and Big Show stare-off, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good thing to do. Just a little cool visual.
Might be the best thing of the match.
Should be
might not be. I mean, I like these guys.
The Bar are a really good team. And AOP with the right opponent can really, deliver as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was... I think this will exceed expectations. I don't think it'll be like a standout match that people are going back to constantly, but I think it'll exceed people's expectations going into it.
I think the way that tag teams are looking in WWE, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the best thing AOP will ever do on the main roster.
Maybe, because the Bar, they do know how to go in the ring. It's not like they're, a couple of jobbers or something. Kind of depends on how much time they give them and how much they really want to let them just do their thing.
Yeah.
I'm going...
I was going to say that I don't think it will go ridiculously long, just because it's kind of AOP's thing to be a bit destructive and not have very long matches. But maybe if the fact that Sheamus and Cesaro can carry most teams, they will be able to drag out a bit more of a longer match out of them.
So as I think about Drake Maverick, I just wondered how long until he sicks AOP on the rest of the cruiserweights to give himself that championship.
Like as he starts performing instead of being a GM?
I think they kind of like... Well, I wouldn't say that's out of the question. I think they kind of like him as an authority figure and a mouthpiece at the moment. I don't really see there's been any inclination that they want him to go in the ring at any point. But things change.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that he would have been the manager of AOP to begin with. Damn it, I said AOP.
All right, we got to redo it.
All right, let's restart the whole thing. Welcome, everybody, to... Authors of Pain are winning.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement with that one. They're the team that needs to be protected more than the SmackDown ones.
I mean, Sheamus and Cesaro have lost how many times?
Multiple times.
They can lose here.
Yeah. AOP haven't lost yet, have they? Technically.
Not on the main roster.
Yeah.
No, they did lose. They lost some kind of a match to Titus Worldwide at some point.
They lost a singles match.
Oh, it was singles.
Yeah, and
okay.
they've lost a 6-man tag as well against the Shield, but they weren't pinned. So
yeah, so they're being protected, but
it just makes the gap between them and the rest of the Raw tag team division just so much wider.
We need Nicholas back.
Yeah. Do you think the New Age Outlaws can come back for one more run?
Well, only if they're with Nicholas.
Hell, I'll take the headbangers at this point in time.
Nicholas is the New Age Outlaw.
Oh, you didn't know? I'm late for school this morning.
Oh, you didn't know your fractions yet? Let's see here. We've got a 2-on-2. Not 2-on-2, a 2-0 for all of us, as far as we're thinking that SmackDown's got this whole thing going.
No, we thought Raw's going to win.
Yeah. AOP is Raw.
Oh, wait a minute. What am I doing?
It's 1-1.
See, that's what I mean with how brain dead I've been lately. I literally went through and I added a point to SmackDown for everybody instead of that being the case. WWE. I hate you sometimes.
So 1-0.
Let's go with the Intercontinental Champion Seth Rollins against the United States Champion Shinsuke Nakamura. Rollins has been one of the biggest featured people on Raw. Shinsuke Nakamura has been not featured at all on SmackDown. pretty much since he won the United States title, which goes to show which people they really care about and which people that they don't care about. But I will say I'm going with Shinsuke Nakamura here, and that's entirely because they are going to have Dean Ambrose pop up, cause an interference. Shinsuke Nakamura will hit a low blow or just get a roll up. And that way they make it seem like, well, Nakamura won. You can't really complain. He still has a win over Seth Rollins. And they'll go, damn it, Dean, I'm going to fight you at TLC in a TLC match. Whoa, look at that. Don't pay any attention to the fact that Brock Lesnar isn't here. Like that kind of a thing.
Yeah, co-sign.
Yeah.
It'd be a good match, though.
Damn good match.
It should be a good match. Like Seth's having the best matches is maybe on one of the best runs of his entire career, and Nakamura, when he's motivated and with the right opponent, can still deliver to his high standards. I agree with basically everything you said. Dean Ambrose will in some way get involved. Nakamura will take advantage and get the win.
I hope Nakamura shows some like heartbroken facial expression as Seth Rollins is too preoccupied with Dean Ambrose.
Well, he can't be the heartbroken facial expression if he wants to break Seth Rollins' face.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he should take some notes from Nia Jax.
It's funny because it's
Fucking
depressing.
Nia.
Yeah.
So, let's go with that. Ronda Rousey was supposed to face Becky Lynch. And then Nia Jax decided, fuck all that. I saw a thing on Squared Circle that was just a breakdown of different things that Nia Jax has done that has injured people. And originally I was looking at this as being the type of thing where it's like, look, things happen, people get injured. But when you start having multiple things in a row like that, Nia Jax is probably not the safest type of person in there. And she not only screwed up one match for Survivor Series, she potentially just ruined so many different plans. Or, if you're looking on this on the optimistic side of things, she just gave Becky Lynch the biggest boost to her career.
Yeah, I think long term this is going to really work in Becky Lynch's favour. She is, she's made a career out of the fact that, her big story has been the fact that she's getting screwed over and missing out on opportunities. And someone has just cost her the biggest opportunity of her career to fight Ronda Rousey. And people are really, we're getting so behind Becky Lynch that they are going to stop at nothing to want to see this match happen at some point. And and there's only really one or two places you can put a match of this standard on. And that's whether they want to do it at the Royal Rumble or they want to do it at WrestleMania.
Well, we're going to get down this rabbit hole, and I really want to dissect this a lot. I already wrote up an article about this, and I've already talked about it a couple different spots, but I want to kind of get you guys' opinions about this too. We know, at least right now, they just decided, fuck it, let's just go with Charlotte Flair against Ronda Rousey. It's not champion versus champion anymore. The championship isn't on the line. There's no build to this. I got a lot of questions to break down. One of them is, Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair is already happening. Do you guys feel like if they do this again at WrestleMania, Charlotte Flair wins the Royal Rumble and challenges Ronda Rousey, that it's going to be okay that they are doing a rematch? Or is it going to be like, oh, fuck, they just did this?
I don't think it's even that. I don't think the fact that it would be a rematch would even come into it. They just wouldn't be happy that it's Charlotte Flair. I just don't think anyone's going to accept anyone facing Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania except Becky Lynch at this point.
Because I don't think that it's happening. With 2018 and the way that WWE has booked things, I put zero faith in them anymore to do the thing that would be the better idea. It's almost like I should practically change my predictions to be, well, Shinsuke Nakamura should win the match through interference by Dean Ambrose, but I'm legitimately thinking they could have Rollins beat Nakamura and then Ambrose attack Rollins afterward, just to be like, fuck you, Nakamura. Or AOP shouldn't lose to the Bar, but they could have Big Show knock one of them out with a punch, and then the Bar wins. Or SmackDown's tag team situation is significantly better. So wouldn't it be interesting if we swerved them and Raw won and the Lucha Dragons or the Lucha House Party, that they ended up being on top, so that way they could look stronger against AOP? Like, that seems to be this type of booking philosophy that they have. And everybody right now is jumping straight to this idea of, well, it's got to be it's got to be Ronda Rousey against Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. There's two things that I think get in the way of that. Becky Lynch would have to drop the title, and they would have to not prioritize Charlotte Flair. I can't see it happening.
I don't see it happening at Mania either. I think the smartest thing to do is to just put it on the Rumble, since all the girls are preoccupied with the Rumble anyway. Just put it on the Royal Rumble. It's a big match. They're at a big baseball stadium. Just do it there, because otherwise then you're getting into these like convoluted things of, do you have Becky drop it, or do you have Ronda lose it to Nia and then Ronda wins the Rumble, you know?
I don't think it's convoluted. I think you can do it quite straightforwardly. Like the way that I would do it, and I'm the WWE because I'm quite a logical thinker. So I would go by the process of, it's like, just whether she can get fit or not, just say Becky Lynch is unable to compete and strip her of the championship. She doesn't lose any steam because she was just forced to relinquish the title. You have SmackDown hold a tournament to crown the new champion. Becky Lynch comes back at the Royal Rumble. I know you take her off TV for a while, which is arguably risky. But you could just say the injury is worse than first expected. She comes back at the Royal Rumble. She wins it, challenges Ronda Rousey, moves to Raw. She takes down Nia Jax in the process and then faces Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania.
If they do that, what do you do with the SmackDown Women's title at WrestleMania?
You have Charlotte defend it, or Charlotte compete for it. So Charlotte still has a championship match.
Who?
I'd say...
Because you can't really do Asuka again.
You can.
Well, without it being stupid.
Well, you could have Asuka
like,
as the heel.
And that's like, who cares?
Well,
you know, Asuka's lost already to Charlotte at Mania.
You could have, well, yeah, I know, but it's just a case of there are alternatives out there. Like you could have Naomi fight for the championship. You could have one of the Iconics holding the championship and be like chicken shit heel champions. There's different ways you can do it. I think it would make more sense for Charlotte to. Well, I know she's obviously a priority, but with somebody as organically over as Becky Lynch, and I completely agree with you, Tony, they're not going to do it, but it's like, just logically thinking, she's the hottest thing on WWE right now. You need to capitalize on that.
That's why I'm nervous that I'm nervous about a couple things. One thing that I'm nervous about here is they did the hug out thing. And it seems like they're ready to move on, and they're ready to... Because, all right, let me backtrack a little bit and preface this. Somebody, if they don't do what I'm worried that they're going to do, somebody in WWE finally went, all right, fuck. Everybody's going to cheer Becky. Let's just make her the baby face. And they put this whole thing with Charlotte Flair aside. They hugged it out. They had Charlotte Flair cut an interview afterward where she's like, I've been fighting with Becky. I've been fighting against Becky. Now I'm going to fight for Becky. It seemed like a great way to just move on. I am so nervous Charlotte Flair is going to lose this match against Ronda Rousey because Becky Lynch is going to cost her the match. That they're going to do something stupid, and it's going to be like, Becky comes out, causes a distraction, and then she cuts a promo afterward and says, you think that you could replace me? Nobody can replace me. If anybody's going to beat Ronda Rousey, I'm the one who needs to beat Ronda Rousey. Fuck you, Charlotte. And they do Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch at TLC if Becky is cleared to compete. If not, Charlotte Flair has to win some kind of a number one contenders match at TLC or something like that. They do Charlotte Flair against Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, not WrestleMania, at the Royal Rumble or whatever. And then Becky Lynch is still a heel that gets cheered. Charlotte Flair is still a babyface that gets booed. And the whole idea behind it was just, we want Becky to be a heel still, and we don't care.
I'm going to go the other way and say, I think that they did that just to get it like, okay, Becky's face, we acknowledge that you're cheering her, we're going to put this thing with Charlotte aside. And then I think Nia costs Ronda the match. And I think Charlotte beats her. And then I think Nia will end up beating Ronda for the belt. That way you can either have Becky win the Rumble and challenge Nia, or Ronda win the Rumble and get her win back against Charlotte.
Well, see, that's what... There's another element of that, too. If Nia Jax is the one responsible for this injury from Becky Lynch, and if the reports are true that she has a lot of heat against her, I can't see them putting the championship on her. So I'm still going with Ronda Rousey beats Nia Jax at TLC. Maybe somewhere along the way she wrestles against Tamina. Maybe Tamina gets the title shot at Ronda Rousey at the Royal Rumble. I mean, there's some ways to do that. I honestly think that doing the Charlotte Flair Ronda Rousey match here is a mistake. And I would have gone with Ronda joins Team Raw, and Charlotte and Mandy are both on Team SmackDown, and it's 6-on-6. I'd have just done that. Team Raw wins because of Ronda Rousey. They tease Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, and you kind of go along with that. But they're doing Charlotte and Rousey here, so we know we're getting that at least once. And another scenario that I can see happening, and this is one that I'm worried about with the whole idea of Becky Lynch causes a distraction kind of a thing. I don't want to see Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, where they just shoehorn Charlotte in there because they're like, well, we don't want it to be Becky versus Ronda. Because there's so many instances in the past where it's been like, they can't possibly do anything but this. And WWE goes like, haha, we'll prove you wrong. Like, look at how we were looking at the whole Brock Lesnar situation and stuff. It was like, all right, well, Brock Lesnar is supposed to be leaving, and Braun Strowman has lost all these different times. It would be so detrimental for them to just put the belt back on Lesnar, and they went ahead and did it. And it was like, well, they have to go with Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. And then they're like, haha, Batista. And like, there's so many different things like that they've done in the past that I can't put any faith that they will go with Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, especially since she's still holding the title. So I'm leaning more towards this being the case. If they are stupid enough to do the Becky Lynch distraction thing, I'm just going to flip a fucking lid. But I think Ronda Rousey beats Charlotte. Charlotte wins the Royal Rumble. And they try to market WrestleMania as, remember that match that they had? It was a classic at Survivor Series. Well, now it's the rematch, and this time the title's on the line. Royal Rumble winner versus the champion, that kind of a thing. Because they clearly don't care when it comes to WrestleMania rematches. They've done WrestleMania rematches over and over and over again before. And I think Ronda fights Becky at the Royal Rumble because the two champions are not going to be doing anything else. Last year, the two champions didn't have title defenses. So you go with Ronda versus Becky there, and Ronda beats Becky at the Royal Rumble. As far as what Becky does at WrestleMania, heel Asuka, makes sense to me.
I don't know if they'll give a non-title women's match any one-on-one time.
What do you mean a non-title?
Oh, you're assuming that Becky stays champion and then defends against the heel Asuka? Okay.
Yeah. I think Asuka wins the Elimination Chamber.
There's so many different ways we can go with it, but I'm gonna stick my neck out and say Nia is seriously booed right now, and Ronda's kind of being a dick on social media. So I think they're gonna do the Cena Roman thing with her, where they just kind of, well, we're gonna make her a babyface by putting her against the one that injured Becky, and we're gonna have Nia cost Ronda this match. So then you're gonna want to see, Ronda get her comeuppance.
I'm gonna. It feels weird to put some sort of level of faith in WWE, but I think that I'd like to think that they're not stupid enough to see a lot of money when it's staring right in front of them. And I know they've done it in the past, but you sometimes just have to hope for the best, really. So I'm going to stick my neck out and say the Ronda Becky Lynch match is going to happen at WrestleMania. And for that to happen, Ronda Rousey has to beat Charlotte Flair here, but not decisively. It will be like a fluke roll-up or something like that, or just something that leads an element of doubt that a match can happen further down the line. But I think the future is going to be Lynch against Rousey for the Raw Women's Championship.
So I realized I did not keep the tally going that I had promised.
Well, it was 1-1. And then another one for SmackDown.
Well, no, because
I have down Authors of Pain and Ronda Rousey are the only two for Raw for me.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
So I have 2 for Raw, and I have for SmackDown Shinsuke Nakamura and the tag team match.
Yeah, that's the same as me as well.
So 2-2.
And I'm going to be the odd one out here and say Charlotte beats Ronda.
So you're 3-1 SmackDown at the moment.
Yes.
Wait, what was it? The only one that you had for Raw was which one?
AOP.
AOP? Okay, so 3-1 for the SmackDown, 2-2. So that was a big change, obviously, to the card. And the whole situation with the Women's Championship, there was a potential that they were going to change the champion. They didn't. They just went with Charlotte anyway and stuff. But they did decide to change at least one of the other champions because they like to do that now with Survivor Series. And I guess like a little bit of irony, AJ Styles won the title last year to go fight Brock right before the pay-per-view started. And this year, right before the pay-per-view starts for another match of Brock, he loses it to Daniel Bryan, who also turns heel because Tony doesn't have enough fucking shit to do at the night. And because it makes sense, right? You have a guy who has concussion problems going up against a guy who is careless and throws people around on top of their head. And you've got a small guy against a totally unstoppable beast who is 3 times his size. And you've got now what could have been the babyface underdog that everybody cheers for is now heel against a heel Brock Lesnar. So what the fuck is going on with this?
I'm in the minority here. I like it. I think it'll turn out really well, and I like that we're finally getting a new layer to Daniel Bryan's character. Think about it. The last time he was a heel he was still being a joke in like 2012, 2013. I think it works. He had a hard time beating Miz. He had a hard time. AJ tapped him out clean. He's desperate. He fought so hard to make this comeback, and now he's, got to resort to cheating because he can't get the job done. I like it a lot.
My issues with this are so numerous that I don't even know where to start, really, because it's like one of the issues that SmackDown has been dealing with for this whole year is they have no baby faces. And now they have one less one. Who the hell does Daniel Bryan fight? Are they just going to do 10 more matches against AJ Styles? I don't want to see the same damn thing over and over again.
He can get one more match with Styles.
TLC.
And then Rey Mysterio.
They'll do Rumble as well.
They'll have team.
Rumble. No, Mysterio will be in the. I don't hate this situation by any stretch of the imagination. I can't hate the fact that Daniel Bryan is WWE champion again. That's not a bad thing. But you have to know that your booking philosophy is absolutely fucked if you have to make Daniel Bryan a heel. If you can't keep Daniel Bryan a babyface, then you shouldn't be writing professional wrestling. And the fact that the way they've done it has made sense to turn him heel. But it's just a case of you need to keep some people babyface. What are you going to do? You're going to turn the Miz babyface? How does the Miz work as a babyface? Miz is great.
Yeah.
Miz is great as a heel, but he's never worked as a babyface. And then there's obviously loads of people saying that Shane McMahon is about to turn heel as well. Who do you turn? to face Daniel Bryan down the line. Like, yeah, you get these matches out of AJ Styles and you get Rey Mysterio and you have that. And yeah, you could have a match with Jeff Hardy occasionally or something like that. But who's the big WrestleMania match? I don't...
Batista. Batista.
Batista is the babyface concept.
Yes, he's the returning hero, damn it.
I get where Tony's going from in the sense that it has a lot of long-term difficulties in order to try and get this one match going, let alone the fact that both these guys, well, Brock Lesnar's not a heel, Brock Lesnar's Brock. Brock's just, whether he gets cheered, he gets booed, or whatever.
He's a heel, though.
Oh, he's a heel to you, Tony.
He's fundamentally... But he's fundamentally a heel because all he is ever really going up against is baby faces. And when he fights like a heel like a Samoa Joe, it's a temporary thing where they position Samoa Joe to be the guy who we should be cheering. He's always the heel.
He beat up Jinder Mahal in the latest episode of Raw. It's like he doesn't operate as a heel or a babyface. He just beats up people. He doesn't care what alignment you are, who you are, how big, how small, whatever. He'll just beat you up. And that's always been Brock's MO, basically since he won the WWE Championship that first time from John Cena. And then Daniel Bryan is now a crafty heel who tries to cut corners to win matches, at least what the AJ Styles thing was. But he's going to be the de facto babyface in this match because people want to cheer Daniel Bryan against Brock Lesnar. So it's going to be a weird dynamic.
Yeah, you're going to have a heel that we're not supposed to cheer, that everybody wants to cheer, against a heel that we're not supposed to cheer at all. And if you ignore it, you're going against the story that you just told on SmackDown, and then you're going to try to pick it back up. Like, they're going to act like this is like, let's just do Survivor Series in a bubble. And why couldn't they have turned him heel the SmackDown after Survivor Series? It would have made so much more sense. I buy into this idea that Vince McMahon is so one track minded that he was probably like, wouldn't it be interesting if Daniel Bryan turned heel? Let's do it. And then if anybody if I were on the writing team and I would be like, but then who do we have fight him for the next bunch of months? We have no baby faces and whatever. If he'd be like, I don't care. I want to see Daniel Bryan as a heel. Wouldn't that be fun? Kind of like dealing with a child where you could be like, you could give a kid a room full of toys, and then whatever the newest toy that you introduce, they're going to go like, ooh, look at that one. Or dealing with a puppy or something. Like, it seems like that's the way that this works. And I also subscribe to the idea that they were probably like, well, there's a lot of bad publicity going around about how much it sucks that we're not getting this whole Becky Lynch thing. Let's give them something interesting to talk about instead, and we'll just figure it out. Because the more I listen to Pritchard's podcast, the more it seems like he's said this before. Vince, when they have an instance where there's an injury or something, he adopts this methodology of, let's just get through tonight. And you can't do that. Tomorrow does not fix itself. You're on the road to WrestleMania right now. Who the fuck does Daniel Bryan fight at WrestleMania? The Miz as a babyface? It doesn't work. Randy Orton as a heel? Makes no sense. Rey Mysterio? Really? You're going to give the World Championship match to Rey Mysterio after all this time? A guy who can get injured at any moment and completely screw up your plans?
Can't the same be
and that's the match you want to go with? Yeah, the same could be said with Bryan. So you have a double chance that and you're putting him up against a guy who injures people. Look at what Brock Lesnar did with Randy Orton. That's real safe. All because people wanted to do this dream match. People wanted the dream match where they could cheer Daniel Bryan. And then you took that away from them too. I hate to be in a situation where I look on this and I go, shit, this was better when it was the thing I didn't want to see. Of AJ Styles against Brock Lesnar. Or to look at this and go, man, it would be so great if Brock Lesnar tripped and rolled his ankle and he got injured. Like, I don't want to wish that people get injured, but I can't see this being a good idea. I don't think the match will be good. because it's Brock Lesnar. He does German suplexes and F5s in 5 minutes, and that's
I think
it.
rabid Daniel Bryan is going to be a fun time to watch against Brock Lesnar.
Wouldn't it be a little bit better if you could cheer for it?
Yes, but I think Daniel Bryan trying to out-wrestle the NCAA monster that Brock Lesnar is would have been a little less fun than wide-eyed Daniel Bryan crazily trying to take down Lesnar and win this match. And I think they left an open door for AJ Styles to win the Royal Rumble and challenge Brock, because Heyman kind of laid the gauntlet down of, you're not that good. Brock wants Bryan. He doesn't want to be bothered with you again.
That's not
There's
happening.
zero chance that's happening.
You know, I am looking on the bright side of
There's
things.
positive thinking and there's delirium, Rob.
Well, this is why I am the Byron Saxton of Smark. Okay.
That's very true.
Yeah, so this match should be interesting. Brock Lesnar, when motivated, like you saw what you did with AJ Styles. The match with AJ Styles, whether you like Brock or you hate Brock, was one of the best matches of 2017. So
AJ got a better match out of Brock than Brock normally
and that's
has.
because Brock respected AJ Styles and Brock was willing to work with AJ Styles and actually give AJ Styles a decent amount of offense. If he feels the same way about Daniel Bryan, then that match will be similar, if not better, because Daniel Bryan is one of the best wrestlers in the world when he's on top form. So there's no reason to believe this match won't be. Well, you can believe it has potentially bad if it's just your standard Brock Lesnar match, but if he does give Daniel Bryan a little bit of opportunity and Bryan exploits a little bit of his heelish tendencies to try and get a less than legal edge over Brock Lesnar, that could make the match a bit more competitive than what you'd imagine. Because basically the match they were supposed to have at SummerSlam 2014 was just going to be, the Brock Lesnar Cena match. Brock Lesnar just squashing Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. I don't think it's going to be that one-sided, although I am 100% in the belief that Brock Lesnar's going to win this.
Brock wins for sure because he's Brock. Brock wins fucking everything. Brock wins matches he shouldn't win, let alone matches that he has the clear advantage for.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a no contest.
That's the other thing too. So they could have AJ Styles come out and just start attacking Daniel Bryan, and it's a no contest. Or
that would be a DQ, wouldn't it? For SmackDown.
Sometimes they roll it a DQ, sometimes they roll it a no contest.
It would be quite funny though, because you would see in other matches, why doesn't someone just from SmackDown just run out and punch the SmackDown guy in the face and get disqualification?
Hey, if I was Shane McMahon, and if I was the type of situation where it was like, look, we're down a couple, we need to win the next 2 matches.
Here's how you could turn it into a no contest. While AJ's doing the run-in on Bryan, have Strowman come out and do the run-in on Brock.
Just running from different sides of the arena, like Strowman coming down the ramp and AJ Styles coming from the outside.
Yep.
I think it's just going to be quite straightforward, just Lesnar wins.
Here's why I'm saying no contest. Mm-hmm. It's an even number of matches.
No, there's 7 matches.
No, it's 7.
What match?
You got the 3 elimination matches and the 4 champion versus champion, minus the fact that one of them is not a champion.
Mm-hmm. And then
All right, fuck what I said. Brock wins it.
What would be the worst thing what's the best case scenario for you guys in this match, given they give you the keys to the kingdom today? They say you can't undo the Daniel Bryan heel turn. What are you doing? It's Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan. What's the best way that you would want this to go down?
Daniel Bryan wins with his feet on the ropes. Because he's just won the championship, he's just turned heel. That's a good way to reinforce it by having him beat Brock Lesnar by cheating.
I'm going with the no contest because I can't. Realistically, even if you give me the keys to the kingdom, I know I'm answering to Vince, and I know I can't beat Brock. You know?
I can't think of a good scenario. anything that would be like the only way I can think of my best scenario is if you have Daniel Bryan come out and he somehow turns babyface again, like, and then he beats Brock. But
the realistic scenario is that obviously Lesnar wins, but this is a good match. That's the best thing we can kind of hope for, is the match is good.
And that depends on suspension of disbelief that Daniel Bryan can beat up Brock Lesnar.
We had enough with AJ Styles. Like, AJ Styles realistically can't beat Brock Lesnar. Like, nobody on the roster can realistically beat Brock Lesnar.
It depends on if Brock is willing to do the same thing again because he's checked out to a certain extent.
Call it what it is. I don't think they would have put the belt on Bryan if they hadn't said, "Hey, Brock, you're doing this." Because we already know Brock is comfortable with AJ. If he wanted to just do another one with AJ, they would have left the title on AJ.
But I get the feeling that Brock doesn't care. And that's the thing. Like, to him, if they would have said, you're going to fight, I don't know, Aiden English, he would have been like, all right, fine, I'm still getting paid.
If you believe the rumors from last year, he cared enough to go, I'm not fighting Jinder Mahal.
Yeah, I think Brock, for all everyone could say about, and he is a shrewd businessman and he does care mostly about the money, he is still a performer and he does actually enjoy performing. And I think he does want to put on. It's not a case of like he went up to Vince and says, I'm just going to beat Braun Strowman in like 10 seconds or whatever, and he's not going to get a single move on me. That's how they laid out the match and he performed it. And he didn't have any objections to it. So you can have a go at him for like not saying, okay, Strowman needs to get some offense. I mean, look at the size of him, he needs to actually fight me. But it's like, no, we just want you to beat him, and he just went along with it. But
it's a bigger issue with WWE than Brock.
Yeah, so if they say to Brock, you're just going to squash Daniel Bryan, then he'll go out there and do it. But if they say, we want you to have a competitive match because it's WWE Champion against Universal Champion, he'll do it because I think he respects Daniel Bryan. I think Daniel Bryan wants to have a good match with him because he never got the opportunity beforehand when he was previously WWE Champion. And they'll actually have a decent performance together. I think while Brock is a mercenary, I think he still knows that his value is only as high as if certain matches do perform. And he knows that if he's with the right opponent, he can have a good match. Because they can, at the very least, Bryan can carry most of the load and still have a great match with anybody, pretty much.
My worry about this, if you follow the descending tree of where things go, is you start off and it's on one side it says good match, one side it says bad match. Bad match, it's just he squashes Bryan, fuck you, it's Brock Lesnar, ha ha ha. Good match is, okay, well then how do you do the good match? My worry is that the quote-unquote good match in their mind is going to be Daniel Bryan lights him up, he's running around the ring, giving him drop kicks and stuff, and Brock is selling it, but Brock hits a bunch of German suplexes in an F5 and wins. And it's just like, man, Daniel Bryan put up a good fight for those 4 minutes.
I think kind of what they did last year, and it worked out well. It all depends on how Brock is willing to, as Callum said, perform. And I think Brock will be willing to perform well with Bryan.
I think the only thing you really need to make this match good, obviously to make it at least slightly competitive, at least maybe like a 30-70 or whatever in Brock's favour. But the one thing you really need to make it a good match is just the one or two hope spots to make it seem like Daniel Bryan will win. So he just needs to hit one running knee and get a 2 count, and he needs to get him in the S-lock. If he does that, then you've at least given enough suspension of disbelief that Lesnar could have been beaten at some point.
I don't know. We saw him get pretty intense on AJ. I want to see him at least try to match that level of intensity.
I just have no faith in WWE at this point anymore. I can't even try to be optimistic about this. I think it's going to make Bryan look like shit. It's going to be a stupid match. People are going to try to make excuses for it because they're not going to want to hate it. We're going to look back on it. It's going to be a mistake. There's a chance that Daniel Bryan gets injured again. Heel Daniel Bryan makes no sense right now. There could be an AJ Styles interference that renders the whole thing kind of moot. I can imagine 1,000 ways that this goes down poorly and no ways that it goes down well. I have no faith in it whatsoever.
I feel like that's
and I hate that.
Probably end up enjoying the outcome just because you're your perspective is so low that whatever they do will likely outdo it.
Unless it's
I'll put it
exactly
this
what you
way.
expected it to.
Well, that's the thing is, I'll put it this way. I have more faith that the next DC movie is going to be the best movie out of all comic book movies than that this match is going to go down as something that people are going to absolutely love the way that they would have loved it if Daniel Bryan would have been a babyface. I'll put more money on this Birds of Prey movie that is apparently not even going to be called Birds of Prey being like an Oscar-worthy film. I have no faith in this at all. And this match is another example of how I'm looking at this and going, why would I want to pay money for WrestleMania? Like, I hate Brock Lesnar as champion so much. And I know that we're not getting this, and I know that we're not getting that. I'm supposed to buy tickets for WrestleMania Friday morning. Do I want to spend $300 for a ticket when I know I'm not getting Triple H? I'm probably not going to get Batista. If I am, it's going to be against Brock Lesnar as the champion. I don't want Brock Lesnar over the next 6 months or next year. Not getting Roman Reigns. Daniel Bryan's a heel. Who's he going to fight? Who fucking cares? Is it another AJ Styles match? I've seen it 5 times by now. I don't care enough to see that again. Is it anybody else on the roster? I don't care. They're all... Do I want to see Jeff Hardy versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania? No. At a different pay-per-view, yeah. Not at WrestleMania. Same thing with Rey Mysterio. Same thing with it. It's just like... I feel like WWE is going in the complete opposite direction of what they should in a lot of different ways.
I was joking
and
about
I hate it so much.
You think they actually go with Daniel Bryan, Shawn Michaels?
No. Because I would enjoy it. I have no faith in this. People think that AJ Styles and Shawn Michaels is going to happen, and that Shawn Michaels and Daniel Bryan is going to happen. I think that we're going to get, if anything, Shawn Michaels against like Undertaker again, and that it's not going to be that good of a match, or that AJ Styles is just that Shawn Michaels is going to fight nobody, or fuck it. They'll maybe even do Brock Lesnar beats the shit out of Shawn Michaels just for the hell of it. Like, God damn it, I hate WWE right now. I hate them so much. And I like so much of what this card was shaping up to be. Like, a week ago, I had Survivor Series listed on the Heat Index for eWrestling News as being, and for the Roundtable, as being, I'm more excited for Survivor Series than I am for TakeOver. And after last night's SmackDown, now I'm like, I don't think I'm going to WrestleMania. Like, I was teetering on the edge after all this Crown Jewel bullshit, and the Daniel Bryan turn and all this other kind of stuff just made me like, why do I care? It's not going to work. Like, I should start looking into post WrestleMania is the first time over the next couple months that I should probably enjoy WWE. And that sucks, man.
I don't know. I'm more optimistic about Bryan as a heel than I have been about most things in WWE. Yes, he doesn't have too many opponents, but that's not to say that, hey, we don't throw, somebody over from Raw. Seth Rollins goes over to SmackDown because, he doesn't want to fight Brock Lesnar. He wants to be where there's a champion full time.
I desperately hope I'm wrong, but I can't put even the slightest modicum of faith in WWE anymore. And I'll continue that when it comes to the other 2 matches that we have to talk about, but we're all going Brock Lesnar, except for Rob, you're saying no contest? Or are you switching that over to Brock now that you know that it's 7 matches?
I'm still going to say no contest because I see AJ getting involved.
Alrighty, so Callum and I are both 3 Raw, 2 SmackDown. Rob is 3 SmackDown, 1 Raw, 1 no contest. So by
Making it so confusing.
default here,
SmackDown wins.
By default with this, if Rob says that Raw wins the next 2 matches, then it's a tie.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next.
Yeah.
Find out.
The women's Survivor Series elimination match is still kind of up in the air a little bit. We don't know who the final member of Team SmackDown is going to be because they can't spend 5 seconds to just update the graphic and tell everybody. We know it's Asuka, Carmella, Naomi, and Sonya Deville. And that fifth person could be any number of different people. And I'm going to get to that in a moment. But right before that, Team Raw is Mickie James, Natalya, Nia Jax, Ruby Riott, and Tamina Snuka because Alexa Bliss was team captain and she decided to fuck over Sasha Banks and Bayley. I like that. I thought that was fun. Just like, haha, neither of them are going to get in it. It's Ruby Riott. Fine. With Team SmackDown, here's an issue that I don't think WWE is thinking about, and it's not going to apply to everybody, but it's going to apply to some people, and it's something that should be addressed. Whenever you put a mystery person on a card, people start speculating on who that mystery person is going to be, and they get their hopes up. And you're going to get people, inevitably, that are going to say, maybe that fifth person is AJ Lee. Oh, maybe it's Trish. Maybe it's Lita. Maybe somebody's going to come over from NXT like Bianca Belair. Maybe this is a chance that Nikki Cross is going to actually do it. It's probably just going to be Mandy Rose.
Yeah. I did first.
So don't get your hopes up.
So maybe they go with Bella here. But I do think it'll just be Mandy.
It's what I would do, and this is like again extending the realms of fantasy booking and saying that WWE wouldn't do, is you have Mandy Rose come out to make it seem like that she's going to be the fifth member, and then Paige says, "Oh no, actually, you're not going to be in the match. Actually, neither you or Sonya is going to be in the match. In fact, you've been traded to Raw." And then you hear Sasha Banks and Bayley's music, and then they've joined Team SmackDown because they were annoyed that they'd got pushed out of Team Raw. So you basically have that situation. I know that would be like the wildest realms thing, but it would be a way of giving them a nice surprise and getting two people who definitely should be in this match ahead of certain other people just because Alexa Bliss is a nasty heel. And the fact that like those two and Ember Moon aren't in this match just means the quality has just dropped immensely.
Jim, maybe they put Ember over on SmackDown. Like, I'm very annoyed with the Raw women's division because you have a lot of okay heels. You have Ronda as champion right now, which means nobody's touching that belt. You know, and there's so much talent there. Ruby Riott should be a women's champion. So should Sasha. So should Bayley. You know, and they're kind of falling by the wayside. That makes people do irrational things like, well, let's create a tag team title so that the women have something to go for.
Well,
and go ahead.
Let's just talk about the Raw side of things. Can we just talk about the fact that has there ever been a more irrelevant, crappy, no improving, no sign of improvement, terrible waste of space than Tamina Snuka? She is for her level of experience, she is absolutely abhorrent in the ring.
Mojo Rawley.
Mojo Rawley's good at promos.
Nah, Tamina's worse than Mojo.
Like
as bad as Mojo is, Tamina's worse. She's been there longer. She should know that.
There's certain people, like you can look at people like Kelly or Eva Marie or something along those lines, but they were here far less than Snuka, and they made far more of an impact, whether it was good or bad. Tamina just is a nothing, and she's randomly pushed every now and again, even though, like, if you see the match against
in the same role too, it's always as the second for whomever the top heel is.
Exactly, and like if you look at the match at Ember Moon, like she didn't look good in that match at all, and I think she's past 40 now. And I know it shouldn't be an age-based thing. Like, if
I was going to ask that question, but I didn't want to, so I'm glad you brought that up.
But it's the case of like if she was in her 40s and was still wrestling really well, then that would be one thing. The fact that she hasn't wrestled well basically the entire time she's been in WWE, and now she's 40, just gets like, why are you still employed? And she's teaming up with Nia Jax, the Becky Lynch destroyer, in the sense of she's just I don't want to go along the lines of like, oh, she's hideously dangerous or something like that, because these people wrestle multiple times a year. She just got unlucky in one instance, although she was like wildly chaotic in the brawl. But you do get a sense that her timing is absolutely horrible. And this was
And
the
she
worst.
injured the man.
Yeah, and it was the worst moment she could have done. If she'd have done it the week after and she'd accidentally punched someone in the face or something like that, then like, oh, that's like a real shame and you've hurt someone. Like, you're still going to get like warnings behind the scenes or like more advice, but you injured like something that could have potentially been the main event of this show, because it seemed like the biggest match, Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch, and that's been completely scrapped because of one like warrant fist to the face.
One punch or elbow or whatever it was that did that changes not only Survivor Series, but it changes the trajectory of Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and WrestleMania. All because Nia didn't pull a punch a little bit.
With just a sense of like, you should know better than that. At her level, like she's been wrestling on the main roster for a good 2 years now. She should know better than you should never be throwing your arm with a closed fist. Like, why are you using a closed fist in the first place? Like, that's. I know she was trying to probably try and forearm her in the face and just hit her with a fist instead. But use an open fist. It's like elementary for pro wrestling. You never swing with a closed fist. It's just like, if she can't get that, then she needs to have some more development done. Like, you don't want anyone to lose their jobs over any instance, but it's just a case of maybe she just wasn't ready. And
safety is a priority.
And she's the number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship, and she's going to use she's going to use this as a springboard to get her more heat in the build up to it. So they've got to do it. They've made their bed now. They've got to lie in it.
That's what I wanted to ask. Was they are, if you believe the reports, there's heat on her. However, they have invested in a match against Ronda Rousey. So do they go with Nia Jax wins this? She looks super strong. They go with the Ronda Rousey thing, and maybe they punish her at TLC, unless they stop caring, because WWE is the type of company that 1 week they can care about something, and the next week they can completely not give a shit anymore. And it's a couple weeks from now. Like, it's a month from now, technically. It's the 16th, I think. So over the course of the next few weeks, they could stop having heat on Nia and be like, well, Becky turned out to be okay, so let's have an actual competitive match against Ronda. Or if they still are mad, she could tap out to Ronda super quick, and it's like, haha, you tapped out, that's your punishment kind of a thing. But they could still go with Nia Jax being the focal point here. Especially because now we don't have Charlotte on Team SmackDown. Who do you really give that push to? Can't put a whole lot of faith that they're going to give it to Asuka. They keep jobbing her out. Can't give a whole lot of faith that they're going to have, like, Carmella stands out. That's not going to be the case. This whole thing with Sonya Deville, maybe it could have gone somewhere, but they did nothing on SmackDown about it. So it really seems like the only way SmackDown wins this for me, actually there's only two ways, is number one, if they really want to punish Nia, and their priority is to make her look bad, which I kind of can't see being the case. Or if number two, that final member is somebody interesting enough that they give that momentum to that person. Like if they do go with Ember Moon, or, which they probably won't because they're using her as a jobber right now to put over Tamina and Nia, or they do give that spot to, I don't even know, because they're not going to give it to Trish. They're not going to give it to Lita. They're not wrestling. It's
the only way
it's probably just going to be Mandy.
I think it's Mandy that will take the spot. The only way I could see SmackDown winning is if the surprise was like Paige herself, which ironically we were having this exact discussion last year, but there was a open spot on the Raw side that people thought would be Paige, and it turned out to be, I don't even know who, maybe Alicia Fox. Yeah, but I think Raw wins it here with Nia and maybe Tamina standing tall. And then with SmackDown, whatever they have planned, they'll figure it out. Half this lineup is just the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. Anyway.
If Charlotte would have been on Team SmackDown, I think that they would have won. Now I'm leaning towards Team Raw.
Even if Charlotte was on, I think they want to keep Nia hot for Ronda.
Yeah, I think Team Raw wins, Nia Jax sole survivor. I think she probably last pin Asuka unless like you say, the final member of the SmackDown one is an interesting person. But I think realistically, the only way they'd do it interesting would be if it's one of the Bella twins, Kairi Sane, after losing to Shayna Baszler, the takeover, or it is Paige and the rumours that were linking her to being cleared to compete actually proved to be true. But I think that's unlikely.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
And they'd also need to find a new general manager for SmackDown if that was the case properly anyway.
I do think it's interesting that those rumors came up just yesterday, because it's sort of similar to the Bryan thing. Like, all of a sudden around WrestleMania, it was like, yeah, I think Bryan might even be in the Rumble. Bryan's pretty much cleared, and sure enough, he was.
Well, it came up before. It came up before, like the stuff that happened with Becky Lynch. So it wouldn't be as a result of that like she's cleared to go. So it would have been like just a speculative thing otherwise. But I'd be very surprised if that was the case. So the likelihood is it's either Mandy Rose or it's Lana.
Mm-hmm. Or they do something where it's like the Iconics come out and they're like, we should be on the team, and then I don't know, Nikki Cross pops up instead or something. But at least Nikki would be kind of fun.
Nikki would be interesting.
So I'm hoping it's Nikki.
I hope it's Lana with her punches of doom. I really do.
Maybe they can really drive home the point. Lana can be in the ring against Nia. Lana cannot punch Nia and pin her.
You know, almost at this point, I want Nia to just punch everybody in the face. Like, that's how Raw wins. Nia just...
Wow. You heard it here first, Robert, advocating beating on women. That's
Well, hold on. Nia is a woman. It's not like Tamina's doing it. But
good save there.
What if that were to happen though? What if they would have just been like, let's just turn into the skid and have like, you know how sometimes, and this is inevitable, at some point somebody on this card is going to get an unreasonably quick elimination.
Oh yeah.
It's going to happen. There's at least 15 eliminations that have to happen on this card, and WWE absolutely loves to take somebody and have them job. It's going to happen. Somebody is going to get a quick roll up, or I don't know, Braun Strowman's going to be walking towards the ring and somebody's going to hit him with a finisher and something's going to fucking happen or whatever. But what if they were to do that? Just have like Nia starts the match and, you know, ringside, Ruby Riott is yapping back and forth with Natalya, arguing about the sunglasses. So they're just off, you know, arguing with each other. But Carmella runs towards Nia. She blasts her with a punch, pins her. Asuka runs towards Nia. She blasts her with a punch, pins her. Just does it for the five of them, and they're like, "Oh, look at that, Team Raw won. Fucking Nia's got a hell of a punch."
I wouldn't be surprised if
just
they had Nia adopt the knockout punch as one of her new finishes. Just to hammer that point home.
I'd kind of be with it. Like, at this point, like Tony said, you might as well steer into the skid. Nia's already, you know, vilified for taking out the man. So
yeah, you just have you build the feud around the feud with Ronda Rousey around the fact of, oh, you might be the most dangerous woman on the planet and could not like break my arm if you wanted to, but all I need to do is land one punch and you're down. And,
look what I did to Becky Lynch. I'm going to do even worse to you at TLC.
Yeah. And then they try and build the whole thing around the match for like Nia Jax trying to hit that one punch, and then Ronda Rousey locks the arm that she tries to punch with into the armbar and gets the victory. You could build a nice story around that, but I don't like the fact that a nice story for a championship is being built around somebody being careless in the ring. But that's just the way it works, especially if you're The Rock's cousin.
Now, I could see a scenario where maybe Team SmackDown wins this this women's match only if they need to balance out the numbers a little bit more. And depending on what happens with the men's match, that's where it kind of goes to shit. Because the men's match is Bobby Lashley, Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, and Finn Balor for Team Raw, with Baron Corbin on the sidelines. And for some reason, instead of Shane McMahon being on the sidelines and his spot going to Andrade Cien or Rusev or Randy Orton, he's wrestling in the match alongside Jeff Hardy, The Miz, Rey Mysterio, and Samoa Joe. There are some heavy hitters. It's a lot of really, really talented people. Like, out of the 10 people that are involved, 11 if you count Baron Corbin, I like watching like 9 of them perform. Shane McMahon's not all that good, and I'm not a big fan of Bobby Lashley. But like Braun Strowman's one of my favorites of the roster. Drew McIntyre's got some good stuff going on. Ziggler's great in the ring. Finn Balor can put on a good show. Samoa Joe's underrated. Jeff Hardy's fun. The Miz is awesome. Rey Mysterio's looking in good shape. So this has a lot of potential to be a really, really good match, as well as a completely overbooked mess. Because you have so many different factors going on here. Miz apparently is getting into a little bit of a thing with Rey Mysterio. Randy Orton is trying to hit the RKO on Rey Mysterio left and right, so maybe he interferes. Is Shane McMahon a heel now? Are they going to try to do the whole World Cup thing? Braun Strowman has issues with Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin. Bobby Lashley and Finn Balor have issues. Drew McIntyre and Finn Balor have issues. Finn Balor and Baron Corbin have issues. If Braun Strowman leads the team to victory, even though he's not the team captain, he gets a match with Baron Corbin, so Baron Corbin shouldn't want that to be the case, but Baron Corbin wants them to win because Stephanie McMahon's on his case. She's going to be on Drew McIntyre's ass if he wins in a positive sense. There's a lot of different things going on here, and it's hard to unpack what thing they're going to really prioritize, because you have to assume the Daniel Bryan plan was to do what they did, instead of like put the title on him at the last minute. Like, you know that the Becky Lynch thing wasn't planned, but the Daniel Bryan thing probably was. So they wanted to put Jeff Hardy into the mix, or Randy Orton, or whoever the case may be. Are they going with Braun wins, so that sets up the Baron Corbin match at TLC?
Brock Lesnar match at the Royal Rumble, of course they are.
Or are they going with Shane wins and they kind of piggyback off this whole World Cup thing?
But what is there to piggyback off of? That was just an angle to get us here. So Braun, Drew, and Dolph will be the sole survivors. And then Braun will lay them both out, along with Baron Corbin. And then it's, Brock, the monster's coming for you. And that's if they do this match before the main event. And then I can really see the main event being a schmoz where, you know, Strowman's after Lesnar because he knows, hey, I got this match.
Maybe the way they get around this is Drew McIntyre is the sole survivor. Braun got, like, counted out or something, and they justify it by saying, well, Team Raw still won, so you still get your match, you know?
I don't think that's logical. Like, in order to get the match, he needs to at least be there when the bell rings.
Here's what I think, because I think while the match itself could be very good because of all the different components like taking part, I think there's one focal point on each team. For Raw, it's Drew McIntyre. For SmackDown, it's The Miz. Drew McIntyre, because I think he's being pushed hardest out of everyone at the moment, even ahead of Braun Strowman. And so they're going to try and make him look good regardless. So I think he either gets the most eliminations to himself, or he could end up as like a sole survivor. And on the Miz side of things, if they are going to go with the idea that Miz would be a babyface moving forward and would end up facing Daniel Bryan, they could start that process here by having him overcome the odds to defeat Team Raw. In the sense of, like, SmackDown's always seen as, like, the babyface team out of these ones because a lot of people hate Raw. And even though some people don't like the way SmackDown's been going, people tend to just appreciate SmackDown more because they've always been seen as, like, the underdogs. So having The Miz secure the victory for them by, I don't know, being in a 2-on-1 situation where he has to beat both Bobby Lashley and Dolph Ziggler, and he manages to do it, then you instantly give him a lot more babyface credibility. So I think with the Braun Strowman thing, you could have a situation where Stephanie McMahon is also outside, and when she's distracted or something, Baron Corbin low blows Braun Strowman, and that costs him to get eliminated. So in Stephanie's eyes, Baron Corbin hasn't done anything wrong, but Braun Strowman's going to be after him, and they still end up having that match at TLC, even though he didn't win the match.
Yeah, because, I mean, in the past they said, hey, if Shane McMahon loses, the lockbox pops up, and then Vince McMahon goes, yeah, never mind. Yeah. So they could very easily just have Braun Strowman lose, and then on the next episode of Raw, Braun Strowman starts going after Baron Corbin, and then she goes, you know what, you want that match? Well, you've got it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I could see, I think the difference being, on Team Raw, there are two people that I think could be sole survivors, Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman. Whereas on Team SmackDown, I can only see The Miz being a sole survivor.
I could see Shane.
Yeah, they could do that, but that's I think they wouldn't want to risk the riotous attitude of the crowd if that was to be the case. But maybe that's what they want because they want Shane to be a heel. But
you can't rule out the idea that WWE has been very adamant about liking fans being pissed this year.
That is a fair point. But I just don't think there's any long-term benefits from it. And I know they're just maybe living for today or whatever, but I think giving The Miz the victory would at least be an interesting aspect to take to it. Whereas on Team Raw, there's no chance Balor's going to be sole survivor. There's no chance Lashley's going to be sole survivor. Ziggler doesn't need to be a sole survivor. They're all fodder to be taken out at some point.
Now, we can all agree, Lashley, Ziggler, Balor, Joe, and Hardy, at the very least, are completely inconsequential.
They will be eliminated at some point,
right?
Yeah.
No disagreements about that, Rob?
I agree with that completely.
So, it's really, like you said, it's McIntyre and Strowman. They're the only two that matter on Raw. Rey Mysterio matters a little bit on SmackDown because he is still kind of fresh, and maybe they want to do something where the final two people on SmackDown are The Miz and Rey Mysterio, and something happens where Rey Mysterio's in the final kind of thing like that. But between the idea of how he doesn't need to win and Randy Orton is potentially lurking, I think we can pretty much rule out Rey.
Yeah. It'll only be through Randy, though.
That's how he'll get eliminated?
Yeah, Randy will sneak up, hit the RKO, and Ziggler will pin him.
Yeah, I mean, even though it doesn't go well with the whole point system, I think Team Raw is winning this one as well, and that the final tally is 5-2.
Yeah, 5-2. Oh, you sure?
5-2 with Raw, or
5-2 Raw having 5.
Oh, you do actually have that, yeah.
Raw winning the men's elimination, the women's elimination, Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey, and there's just Pain. I think Nakamura and the tag team is the only ones that they're the only ones that SmackDown's gonna win.
I think I'm going with Charlotte because I think they're gonna do more story with Nia and Ronda, but I kind of agree. I don't think SmackDown is winning.
But you have 3 for SmackDown right now, and 2 for Raw, and 1 for no contest, as far as my tally goes.
I mean, yeah, because I just think that they're going with story, but likely, that's me being optimistic. Likely they go with Ronda, and Raw shuts out SmackDown because, fuck SmackDown. That's just the way they think.
Mm.
So, Rob, you're almost you're 4-2 and a no contest kind of.
Okay.
4 for Raw, 2 for SmackDown. No contest for Brock and Brian.
Yeah.
And Callum, what do you got? Because right now, for my tally, you have a 4 and a 2, but no vote for the men's.
In which case, well, I was leaning already towards Team SmackDown winning it. I think The Miz is going to be the sole survivor.
So you got 4-3, which is a lot more reasonable.
Yeah, and I assume that if that was the case, like initially I was thinking that SmackDown was going to win the entire thing because they've made it quite clear that Raw's won the past 2 shows. So you would have thought this would be the time for SmackDown to do it, but I definitely can't see IOP losing. I think Nia Jax is going to be the sole survivor of the women's Raw team. Ronda Rousey's got to beat Charlotte Flair, in my mind. And I think it's unrealistic to think that Daniel Bryan's going to beat Brock Lesnar. So there's 4 matches where you just can't see Raw losing. So you at least have to try and make it as close as possible, I guess.
It's just a weird setup where I don't even know if they've figured out the balancing act for that, because they don't care, too. Like, let's admit it. If it's 5-2 with Raw winning, they don't give a shit. A lot of fans that care enough, like how we're right now figuring out, the math behind it, are putting a lot more thought into this than they do. They will be like, isn't it interesting that Raw won? It's the A show. That's great. Let's move on to TLC. They don't care.
And basically, by my standards, like in which case you'd probably have to put Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan or Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair as the main event, just to put it on the line, and it still being like 3-3 going into it, because you couldn't put the men's tag match at the end if it was already 4-2, because then it just makes it meaningless.
Didn't they do that one year though?
They did it with I think it was the first one where Raw had won both of the first 2 elimination tags, and so the final one. But they tried to make it out as if because SmackDown won the final one, they kind of won the whole thing. Even that's kind of the way it seems to work, really.
It's fucking comedy.
I know. That was 2 years ago, Tony. You've had 2 years to prepare for this.
Oh, Jesus. They're the equivalent of when somebody just impulse buys things and stuff. Like if you're standing in line at the grocery store and they have all that junk at the cash register and somebody's just kind of like, yeah, I like Reese's peanut butter cups, and they buy one of the fucking big cups or something. Where like, yeah, I'm a little bit thirsty. I could kind of go for like one gulp of something. Let me spend $3 on a little fucking bottle of water.
So let's just call it like it is. They're a slightly more competent WCW.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Podcast in itself, because I think it's so annoying that they have a network that is largely devoted to the idea of, God, look at how we put everybody out of business. And wasn't WCW so stupid the way they put Nitro to 3 hours and they relied on those old farts? And it's like, if you mirror what they're doing now, it's literally everything they make fun of WCW for.
But they have better wrestlers, so they can get away with it.
I feel like it's all just because Vince McMahon's gotten older. And that's why we were talking so positively about NXT TakeOver and why Survivor Series is like, how could they fuck this up? How could they fuck that up? What's going on with this? This doesn't make sense. This is stupid. But there is potential.
So when Triple H, Triple H gets older, he's going to be worse as well. So he's going to hold the WWE Championship when he's 70 or something like that again.
Well, he's got 3 titles before he gets 17.
Yeah. He'd be bitter enough. He'd be self-absorbed enough to try and beat John Cena to that.
I think that Survivor Series is going to go down as not as problematic as Crown Jewel, if I'm trying to be optimistic here.
That's like That's like saying like, oh, this foot injury, it's not as bad as like severing the entire foot off, or Becky Lynch's face injury. It was not like she was decapitated or anything.
She's the man. Such the man. Yeah, there is a chance that some of these matches are better than what I am running them down to be. I'm not going to lie and say that like, oh, this is going to be the worst event ever. It's not, But Buddy Murphy, Mustafa Ali, that could be great. It's almost a guarantee it's going to be great. Authors of Pain Against the Bar, that could be a lot of fun. Team Raw against Team SmackDown for the tag team match of tag teams, teaming up for tags. that could be a complete mess, but if they're smart enough, the Usos and the New Day will look good. Shinsuke Nakamura and Seth Rollins, that has a lot of potential to be fun, and then they'll throw it all out the window at the end just to push something for TLC. Rousey and Flair, we're going to know whether or not this would have been a good WrestleMania match or not. So, hey, if we were excited for it at WrestleMania, we should be excited for it now, even if that changes what the whole point of WrestleMania is all about. I have zero faith whatsoever in Bryan and Lesnar, but I hope that I'm wrong for everything. Who knows? Maybe that last person for the women's team on SmackDown is something like a really cool surprise. And maybe the Raw and SmackDown men's teams have a hell of a match. But don't be shocked if the post show is me going, and this fucking stupid would, and just, being the way that it's been for 2018. Because 2018 has been a year of, like, you thought that this couldn't get much worse. Well, hold my beer. Kind of thing.
I actually am going into this event more optimistic than anything. I think the only match I'm really not looking forward to is the 5-on-5 for the women. And that's simply because the lineup isn't the greatest. Like we've already said, you have better women you can be utilizing here. Other than that, I actually think it'll be a fun show. And the gimmick of Raw versus SmackDown, it's inconsequential in the long run, but at least it provides a fun show. And we'll worry about everything come January, whatever the first Raw of the new year is, because that is how they operate. I totally skip over December when we're dealing with the importance of WWE.
December is Ambrose Rollins in a TLC match, AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan in a TLC match, maybe rematch for the title. Maybe it's not even a gimmick match between Braun and Baron, Ronda versus Nia, mixed match challenge finals, and they're gonna not care about anything else for the whole rest of the month.
Yep.
Final thoughts, Kellen?
As a one-off thing, this could be a pretty fun show. Obviously, the implications will come afterwards, but we're living for today right now. We could all be dead tomorrow. Who knows? I mean, won't see either show, so that would be pretty bad. But it's just a case of there are some interesting matches that we don't get to see very often. And that's probably the best thing about Survivor Series in this format of the Raw vs. SmackDown, because even if it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense and all of it in this brand rivalry seems so forced and plastic in so many regards, at least we get to see matches that we won't see at any other time of year until at least the superstar shakeup happens, or we might see some of these people move over. But so in that case, it's worth looking forward to.
Don't jinx the idea if we could all be dead tomorrow. I have a nosebleed. My arm was bleeding for some reason earlier. I was lightheaded in the morning.
I thought you'd almost be hopeful for it because you just not looking forward to this show. How about
put me out of my misery?
Wait till after Saturday. After Saturday, go after that one.
Yeah, I want to see
maybe
on War Games. Thank you. Then I can back.
Oh god, there's a chance. I don't know if there's no like hot tags next week, maybe I'm dead. WWE's driving
if any
crazy.
of you listening die tomorrow, please leave it in the comments just so we know that.
Yeah, tell me the best place to hit up in the afterlife. Yeah. How morbid this is. You'll know if Nia Jax punches me in the face, I'll probably die. And I think that's it. We ran down all the card, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so make sure you drop your comments below. Tell us what you think is happening at Survivor Series. Tell us if you're excited. Try to give me a reason to be, because I'm trying. And it's not working out that well. Show your support for everything that we got going on here if you do enjoy us by hitting up the Patreon and tossing $1 our way if you got the spare change. TeePublic and Redbubble are doing sales for Black Friday and everything if you want to pick up a t-shirt or some other kind of merchandise, like, clock or something like that. But to be perfectly honest, even though I would appreciate it, it would be a little bit weird if you bought a clock that says like has the however bell on it or whatever. This is like, don't quite understand that. But that's what's happening on that. If you want to be aware of the next things that we have going, which are the post shows for these two pay-per-views, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel and ring the bell for notifications. Also be aware of the fact that the mailbag is next week. We're going to be doing that the day before Thanksgiving, most likely, because we're not going to be doing it on Thanksgiving, that's for sure. And if you have not submitted your questions yet, start doing those. Send them in as soon as you possibly can, because even if you do it on Monday or something like that, it's still going to be kind of pushing it a little bit. As far as I can remember, I think I only have the ones from Howard. So there you go. If you're like Gus 5 or Deadshot or Marco or any of the other people that tend to send in the questions, if you send them in, I don't have anything written down yet for you guys. So send them in again, and maybe hot tags next week. That's still kind of up in the air, but you'll see it if it pops up. Just follow Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment and SmarkOutMoment.com. You'll find everything all over the place on there. Plug-wise, I think that's it for Smark Out Moment. So one last thing, fanboysanonymous.com. Go do that stuff there. Follow these guys on all the things that they got going on. Rob?
WrestleZone.com, your daily source of wrestling news. I'll be doing the Facebook live stream, which I do a couple days out of the week. I'll be doing it literally right now as we jump off of this. So, I'm on there a lot. TimekillerApparel.com. I'm going to be real here. I spend $20 a month keeping that store open. If you bought a shirt or anything from there, it would mean a lot to me. Show me the support. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DudeFelice, and that's it for me. Callum?
Follow me on Twitter at WeekMeister14. Check out the Power Rankings when it's up later in the week, and all the other weekly stuff on Smock Out Moments. And I'm out.
Alrighty, everybody. Thanks for listening and all your support and everything else that you do for us. Greatly, greatly appreciated. We will see you next time. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.